This is amazing!
Hey everyone, my name's Arias and welcome to the ThoughtfulFreeSpace, putting your mind to things you might not normally think about. Now today is a little different. I'm bringing you the first in a series called Isn't That Amazing? Which focuses on topics either big or small that I think or you think are amazing. If you have ideas, leave it in the comments below. Now let's continue with today's topic, which is science! This is something very near and dear to me that I absolutely love, and it's involved in your lives every day whether you know it or not. Now, I love science. Like, how can you not like science? It is literally everywhere except for certain topics. Maybe you don't like science though, or don't care, or perhaps you love it. But either way, let's get into it. First off, no religion, no aliens, no paranormal stuff. None of it is science. Moving on, what is science? Well, science is a lot of things, honestly, but let's examine it in 3 different ways. Now, if you looked up the definition of science, it would say,
it is a practical activity or study where you examine the behavior of something through experimentation.
Great, superstar, you now know what science is. But do you? No. There's definitely so much more involved. This type of science is what people normally think about. Someone doing a scientific activity known as the scientific method. This is what people learn in school and is usually the most exciting. It's commonly known as the procedure of asking a question, making a hypothesis, experimentation, getting results, and coming up with a conclusion. Well, that does happen, but not all the time, and not exactly in that order. Usually it's more like do research, ask a question, do an experiment, ask what the heck just happened or what it means, research again. It's basically a jumbled mess. So now that we've finished part 1 and you have a little more insight, let's move on to part 2. Now we're looking at science as an area of study, or the knowledge of a subject. Basically, the book learning portion and what people find boring. This is usually filled with facts, definitions, and history of past scientific accomplishments. It also shows what subjects are scientific and which ones aren't. Biology, chemistry, and physics are all examples of scientific subjects that you can learn and gain knowledge from. You can gain knowledge and learn something from other subjects, like history, but history isn't science. Of course, the subjects I mentioned and many more are just the very general subject fields, which can probably be broken down 100 or 1,000 times over into different subdisciplines, subfields, specific topics. It's crazy, honestly. Finding what you want sometimes is like looking for a single atom in a glass of water. Now, we come to the final definition, part 3, and this is related to the previous 2, and that is thinking science. Now that might sound weird, and I don't mean thinking of science, I mean thinking in a scientific way, otherwise known as critical thinking. This is probably the hardest thing to do, because it's a combination of asking questions, comparing to known knowledge, and critically analyzing information in order to draw your own conclusions. This is the thing that people actually want you to learn, and the main reason is because you can apply it to things that aren't science. Isn't that awesome? You spend enough time and effort and you gain an applicable skill for life. Now, is that all science is? No. There's a lot of time, money, and energy, and so many other things that go into it. Science isn't some magical thing that is perfect because science fails all the time. But that's how science grows. It's like some self-criticizing, constantly learning organism that's always evolving. Personally, I enjoy the subject because you can ask a question about mostly anything and learn something new. It satisfies the nerd in me. There's only so much you can talk about in the video though. Now, saying all of that, some people know what science is and what it's about and don't care for it. That's fine. Other people absolutely love it, which is awesome. And that's fine too. And then there's some who don't know anything about it or misunderstand what it is. That is not okay. How you feel about science could be based on a bad experience. But if you don't know something you're interested in, you should learn about it. Spreading misinformation or the results of one specific study can be really damaging. New studies are exciting, but it's only one part of the whole sea of information. Doing things like that can cause a lot of problems. Just look at the recent vaccination issue. All I'm saying is to take the chance to view science in a good light on your own terms. But whether you hate it or not, you can at least admit, science is amazing! And that is what is so amazing about science. What do you think about science? Leave it in the comments below, and tell me if you enjoyed the series. Hopefully you learned something new, or think about it in a different way. If you liked it, show your love with a thumb and subscribe for more. Thank you very much, and stay awesome.